What made Saudi Arabia decide not to join BRICS? Were they scared of someone? Were they put under pressure from outside sources to stay out? There are deeper problems that need to be looked into. Just skimming the surface won't give you answers. Let's find out in a big and surprising turn of events at the 2024 BRICS Summit in Russia. Even though it was invited to join last year, Saudi Arabia has officially turned down membership in the powerful bloc of emerging economies. The kingdom has chosen not to align itself with BRICS, a decision that has raised eyebrows in global diplomatic and economic circles. Why did Saudi Arabia, a global energy giant, turn down membership in BRICS? The BRICS bloc extended an invitation to Saudi Arabia during its 2023 summit, generating widespread speculation that the kingdom's entry could reshape global power dynamics. Given Saudi Arabia's role as one of the largest oil producers in the world, its potential membership in BRICS was seen as a game-changer for both the bloc and the global energy markets. However, the kingdom remained non-committal throughout the year, weighing the risks and benefits of joining a group that seeks to challenge Western economic dominance. On October 24, 2024, the much-anticipated announcement of BRICS' new partner countries was made, and to the surprise of many, Saudi Arabia was not on the list. The kingdom, along with Argentina, became one of the few countries to formally decline membership in the BRICS alliance. This decision reflects a careful calculation on the part of RAF, where balancing relationships with the West and global South remains a delicate act. The main reason Saudi Arabia doesn't want to join BRICS is probably that it doesn't want to upset its Western friends, especially the US. Saudi Arabia and the US have had strong economic, political, and military links for a long time. If they joined a group that tries to balance out Western power, it would definitely put a strain on these important relationships. The kingdom is a key player in many global partnerships because of its huge oil wealth and important role in the Middle East. However, siding with BRICS might have tipped the scales too far in one direction, putting its strategic partnerships with Washington and Europe at risk. From a global point of view, the fact that Saudi Arabia turned down membership in the BRICS group shows that it wants to keep its strategic independence. The kingdom values its freedom and doesn't want to be tied down to a bloc that could limit its ability to act in global affairs. It's possible that joining BRICS would have opened up new possibilities, but Saudi Arabia chose not to do it because it could have made things worse with the West. What does this choice mean for the bloc's plans? Does the kingdom's absence create a problem for BRICS, or will the social group continue to grow? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel to see more movies about the changing and political situation of Jews in Africa. Let's move on to BRICS now. People thought that the possibility of Saudi Arabia coming was a big chance. The kingdom's huge oil reserves and position as leader in OPEC would have given BRICS unmatched power over the world's energy markets. Adding Saudi Arabia to the bloc gives it a way to go up against Western-run organizations like the IMF and World Bank. The BRICS could have made itself an even stronger force in global economic policy. Therefore, Saudi Arabia's choice not to join could be seen as a loss for BRICS' broader ambitions. BRICS' goal of making global trade less dependent on the US dollar could have been sped up by the kingdom's economic power, especially in the energy sector. This movement, called de-dollarization, has been led by BRICS members, with a focus on doing oil deals in alternative currencies like the Chinese yuan. Saudi Arabia's role would have given this effort a big boost, but without the kingdom's help, the plans to weaken the US dollar's dominance are stuck. BRICS is still an important bloc, but it may face new problems. The lack of Saudi Arabia in the group's energy strategy is noticeable because, as the world's biggest oil exporter, the kingdom would have brought a level of geopolitical influence that no other member could match. Its inclusion could have changed energy geopolitics by giving the bloc more control over pricing, production, and policy decisions in the global oil market. However, without Saudi Arabia, the group will have to rely on other oil-producing members like Russia to keep its energy sector influence. BRICS is still working to get more countries to join and have more impact. At the 2024 summit, the bloc announced that it would be working with a number of new countries, such as Algeria, Cuba, and Turkey. Even though these countries are important politically and economically, they don't have the oil dominance or strategic weight that Saudi Arabia could have brought to the table. Not having Saudi Arabia BRICS energy ambitions may be tempered, but this is not likely to stop the bloc's general goal of counterbalancing Western global institutions with Saudi Arabia's declining membership. What will happen next in the kingdom? How will this choice affect its ties with the West and the global South? The fact that Saudi Arabia turned down membership in the BRICS group shows that the country is thinking about the long term when it comes to global politics, rather than just short-term gains. Riyadh is carefully managing its ties with the West and the global South to make sure it stays a major player in both areas for many years to come. The United States and Europe have always had close ties with Saudi Arabia. These ties are based on oil cooperation, military partnerships, and economic investments. The kingdom's choice to stay out of BRICS is probably because they want to protect these ties, especially since tensions between the West and the BRICS bloc, especially between China and Russia, keep rising. Joining BRICS could have heightened these tensions, which could put at risk Saudi Arabia's important economic and security ties with the West. At the same time, Saudi Arabia is very aware of the growing power of the global South, especially as countries like China and India challenge Western hegemony. Many countries in the kingdom have already formed strong economic partnerships with China, including major investments in infrastructure projects as part of China's Belt and Road Initiative. However, Ryan seems to prefer a more flexible approach that lets the kingdom work with both sides without fully committing to either. The kingdom's oil wealth gives it a lot of power in global politics, and falling BRICS prices make it easier for it to do business. Although Saudi Arabia is a member, that doesn't mean it's giving up its role as a global heavyweight. Instead, it seems to be taking a more practical approach, keeping its options open as it navigates the world's increasingly divided political landscape. As the world moves toward a more multipolar structure, the growing complexity of the global order brings up bigger questions about the future of geopolitical relationships. In the shifting sands of international relations, how will countries like Saudi Arabia stand? Saudi Arabia's decision not to join BRICS shows how difficult it is for countries to deal with the increasing complexity of the global order. The world is no longer clearly divided into East and West. Instead, countries like Saudi Arabia are at the intersection of competing global powers as the global South rises and Western influence faces challenges. In times of geopolitical uncertainty, Saudi Arabia's decision shows how important it is to be strategically flexible. The BRICS alliance has positioned itself as a counterweight to Western-led institutions like the IMF and the World Bank, offering emerging economies an alternative platform for global governance. But for Saudi Arabia, joining BRICS would have meant aligning itself too closely with countries that are actively pushing back against the US-led world order. Instead, the kingdom seems to be prioritizing its independence, choosing to engage with both the West and the global South on its own terms. This decision is part of a larger trend among middle powers that are choosing to stay non-aligned as the world shifts toward multipolarity. India and now Saudi Arabia are making their own paths that will help them to be important to Saudi Arabia in many areas. By staying out of BRICS, Saudi Arabia avoids getting caught in the growing rivalry between the West and the global South while still keeping good relationships with both sides. As Saudi Arabia's geopolitical strategy plays out, it becomes clear that this decision was about more than just BRICS. It marks a big change in how countries are navigating the changing global landscape. It's clear that Saudi Arabia's decision not to join BRICS was a missed opportunity for the bloc, which could have gained a lot of geopolitical and economic power from the kingdom's membership. However, for Saudi Arabia, this may have been a smart strategic choice, as it will allow the kingdom to keep its independence and negotiate its relationships with both the West and the global South without being tied down to any one alliance. In a world that is becoming more multipolar, Saudi Arabia has shown that it is committed to strategic flexibility. At the same time, the BRICS offer new ways for the world to have more impact. It's possible that the risks of angering Western allies were greater than the benefits for the kingdom. As the choice settles, everyone will be watching to see how Saudi Arabia continues to make plans. Will the kingdom improve its ties with the West or look for new partnerships in the global South? Tell us in the comments what you think the future holds for BRICS. If you want to see more videos like this one, click the bell icon on our channel.